Mr. Dutt here with your lesson today in U.S. history for my students at Lewis E. Deere High School in Allentown, PA. Hope you guys are doing well, and I thought I'd bring this lesson to you as part of the Cold War unit that we would be doing in our classroom. But first I want to start out with yesterday's answer to the trivia question, and if you remember what that was, is what does the middle initial in Harry S. Truman's name stand for? Well, it doesn't stand for anything, really. It's just an S. And it's thought to be that Harry S. Truman wanted to have it named after his grandparents or his grandfathers, one of his mom's side, one of his dad's side. But there was really no name that the S stood for. So he just wanted the middle initial in it. And when asked about it, he goes, that's what it means, just the middle initial. So that's why he kept it that way, and it doesn't stand for anything. Hope you got it right as you look for it and guess through it. We'll have another trivia question today at the end of this mini-series or mini lecture. All right, so today we're talking about lesson number 3, which is the doctrines that happened during Harry S. Truman's presidency at the end of the 1940s. Okay, and we're going to talk about 3 of those doctrines that Truman had the rest of his presidency up until the 1949 election. And so let's take a look at what he tried to do with these doctrines and what the United States tried to do. So the first doctrine was called the Truman Doctrine. As you can see on here, it's the promised aid to countries resisting communism. And you can tell back here with the picture of Harry S. Truman, this is what he wanted to do. He did not want communism to spread to different European countries in the West because we wanted to resist communism at that point. As you saw with the different things in Berlin, that were going on in Berlin and Eastern Europe, he did not want that spread to the West. So we gave a total of $400 billion over the years to give to the European nations so that they would stay and on the side of the United States. And they would become NATO partners, and they would also become part of the United Nations, which was formed at the end of World War II. And they all wanted to do was resist communism. The second doctrine that was done during the Cold War under Truman was called the Marshall Plan. And the Marshall Plan was basically this. It was aid to specifically strengthen democratic governments in Europe. And what happened there? Well, we wanted to persuade Europe governments and others to have strong democratic or democracies to resist communism. And what did this do? Well, basically it helped the different countries in Western Europe to recover from the devastation of World War II. Lots of buildings, lots of companies, lots of governments had to rebuild from the ground up in order to survive coming out of World War II. So what the United States did, we provided $15 billion to those countries that brought up democracies or still had democracies to strengthen them by helping rebuild their democracies and their countries after World War II. The third doctrine or third thing that Truman wanted to accomplish was to successfully detonate the first H-bomb. They found out through a leaked document that the Soviet Union had successfully detonated an atomic bomb in 1949. How they found that out is one of the scientists that was working on the atom bomb in the United States became a Russian spy, and his name was Sukes. And what he did was he gave all the information that the United States had gathered over the previous years to make an atomic bomb. The Russians took that information and made their own. So they successfully detonated their own bomb in 1949. Well, the United States wasn't going to be outdone. So in 1952, November 1st to be exact, they detonated the first hydrogen bomb, which was really big. They felt the heat and the sound and all of that from about 35 miles away, where this was detonated in the Marshall Islands. So Harry S. Truman now had a more strengthened weapon than what the Soviet Union had, and they felt like they had a hands up on the nuclear race that was happening during that time period. So you can see Harry S. Truman in the United States wanted to keep power and keep up with what the Soviet Union was doing and to resist anti-communism that was going on and racing through different countries throughout the world. One of the hot spots we're going to talk about tomorrow, and one of the first conflicts that happened in the Cold War, was the Korean conflict, and how the United States played a pivotal role in trying to protect democracy within that country. So, with that, today's trivia question, since we're heading into the 1950s, and rock and roll was such an important part of the 1950s here at home, what was widely considered the first rock and roll song recorded in 1951? That's your trivia question for the day. If you want to answer that, please write your response in the section below this video, and the answer will be revealed tomorrow. Okay, guys, if you have anything that you need or any questions based on what we talked about today, please let me know, and I'll be glad to hear from you. See you tomorrow.